G'day guys, Keithy here, thanks for joining me. Been a bit quiet lately on the car front, so I thought I'd give you a bit of an update now and I can fill you in on where I'm going with the Range Rover and with the Ute, and we can do some more videos soon. I've been very busy. I've got house renos going on everywhere, so really sorry for the lack of the car videos lately, but we'll pick it back up, we'll get back into it. I want some of your opinions too. So I'll turn this camera around and I'll show you what I'm up to now and see what you guys reckon. Let's have a look here. Okay, so I've been working on this big rig today. I've just taken it for a drive now to drop the folks off at a friend's place. So what I've had happen is, I'll open up the lid to the old EAS. This is the first time I've ever had any trouble with my suspension. So I've had to use my backup compressor, which is in the car. It's the one I use for inflating tyres and whatnot recently, because this little bad boy's given up the ghost. And what's happened is, because my other compressor isn't actually running through the dryer, it's been putting moist air into the valve block. So yeah, obviously that didn't like it too much, and I started getting faults with the suspension. It was doing all kinds of weird things. Lucky for me, I have these valves down here in line that come straight from the valve block, so you can see I've got them all isolated at the moment. These are the valves for each of the air springs. So I don't know if I've shown you before, I think I have. So where it comes out of here, I've loomed it up, and you can see the loom runs around the airbox to these valves before it goes into the T's and then off to the suspension itself. So if ever I had a problem with the suspension, I could isolate it before the air comes from the valve block to the suspension. And basically what that means is I can get the car to whatever height I want and turn that off, and it means that has no say in what the suspension does. So that's what I've been doing lately, because you know how much these compressors cost. This one here has had a couple of rebuilds in its life, and it's time to go now. It's ready for a rebuild. But what I did do today, I replaced this valve block. I had a spare one that I had rebuilt. I've rebuilt it years ago. So this is a rebuilt valve block. I've just put it in. It's all fresh. It hasn't had any say in what the suspension does yet, because I know this compressor's shagged. So I'll give you an example. The car's been running for about 25 minutes. I just went for a bit of a drive then, and that's how much air it managed to get into the tank. It's about 10 pounds, maybe 12 pounds on a good day. So she's knackered. I actually put my finger over the intake there, and yeah, it wasn't sucking very much. So what I'm going to do with this now is I'm actually going to fit another compressor in this engine bay somewhere, somehow, and I'm going to parallel it. So I'm going to run it straight into that little airline there with a T, so that it runs when this one runs. And I don't care that this one's running and not doing anything, because the other one's going to do all the work, basically. Actually, you know what, I won't even T it. I'll just use that line anyway. I'll just run through the side of the box down there somewhere and put the new compressor straight onto that line there, so it does all the work. Because these little compressors, they're a bit small anyway, so I'll get something that's bigger and better. And as you probably know, if you know the EAS pretty well, this air that comes out of this compressor originally will have a bit of water in it anyway. It's just a part of compressing air. So I'll run it straight through there. It goes into the valve block, goes to the dryer here, and then it comes back and goes to the tank and does all its magic down there. So putting a new compressor in, a second compressor, and running it through there is not going to affect anything. It's still going to run through the dryer. It's still going to go to the tank the same way that the air would from this one. Basically this one's just going to run for no reason, and I don't really care too much about that. For the simple fact is it's going to be a much better compressor going in. What else I'm up to? Okay, so I don't know if you've got a P38, obviously. If you're watching this, check this out. So the clip broke off here. I tried putting a screw in there and getting this clamp to clamp down on my bloody MAF sensor there, but no joy. So I'll probably end up getting a new MAF casing itself. Really weird little thing, eh? I've had it happen on a previous Range Rover. It just happened down on that clamp there that goes on the airbox lid. Interesting little thing, just enough to annoy you. And you can see there's just a slight little gap there. I think that might have happened a couple of Ks ago, and I've been using a little bit more fuel lately than what I normally would, so could be part of the reason. And another thing, the thing that I'm going to do as soon as I put this phone down, so this is all LPG stuff here, because I've got petrol and gas in this thing. And there's all my gas injectors up there. They look pretty hideous. They make the engine bay look pretty bad. So anyway, I've got a gas leak in here. Now I've replaced a few hose clamps along this series here over time, but there's a few other ones here that have been on there for a few years now. So I'm going to replace a few more hose clamps because this hose looks alright, and it feels nice and soft still. But I can smell gas as soon as I start running on LPG, so I'm gonna do that today. What I want to know from you guys, if you can somehow see me, there we go. Have you got LPG on yours? Have you got LPG on another car as well as petrol? Give me your thoughts on how it runs and if you've come across any of those kind of problems. Because yeah, I like to share ideas. I mean, I've just had to replace hose clamps. That's been all good. It's solved my problem, but it's a lot cheaper to run on gas, I'll tell you that much. So yeah, stay tuned for some more videos. So what we're going to do, I've still got to do a rundown on the lift because you guys will be pretty keen to see that. This is what my standard height looks like now, and keep in mind they are 33-inch tyres on this thing. They're not the standard size tyres, and they throw a lot of mud too. So I've got a lift kit. I've got a lift kit video in the Pipeworks. It isn't ready to go yet. If you have a look under here, you might notice something as well, something that's not there. The sway bar. So I put the bolts back in, but yeah, I went on a trip and I snapped a sway bar mount on that other side there. So I've got to replace that. The linkage itself actually snapped. So I'm running without a sway bar. Something I reckon you guys need to hear from me right now too. If you're hooting around in a P38 and you have got EAS still, I highly recommend you leave your sway bar in. As soon as I start getting on a bit of an angle, the car goes into fault, and that's normally like around high-speed bends and things like that, like going onto one of the motorways here where I live. The car gets enough of a lean up that the sensors get confused of what height it's at and throws the car into fault. So anyone with EAS, don't take your sway bar off and drive around town, because they do get a little bit of body roll, not a lot, but it's just enough to throw the suspension out. You want to say hello to Barry? G'day Barry. He likes to help me work on the car and eat lizards. What else have I got lined up? Not too much. This old girl hasn't had a lot of attention lately. I know it looks really bad in there, that looks oily and whatnot, but that's actually a coating that's been put on my motor. It's a waterproofing coating, which is absolutely 100% not necessary, but the previous owner that had this Range Rover put that on there, just for fear of electronics and things like that getting wet, causing dramas. So if you look at my engine and see it looks really dirty, and it does, it's actually not too bad. It's more dusty. You can see up the back here, it's just dust on that, because I haven't washed the engine bay down in quite some time. And even over here, that's all just that coating. Oh, there's a little bit of oil coming out of the aircon reservoir there, but most of that is a coating like you see on the compressor there. That doesn't rub off, and it's not oil or stains or anything like that. That's actually just that special coating. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear some feedback. What do you want to see? I can knock up a few more. I've got a few in the pipe, like I said, I've got a few in the pipelines, but I'm keen to get some more Range Rover videos, some more four-wheel driving stuff. I had one lined up on tyre pressures as well, stuff like that. It's not a grey area, but to some people it is, so I'll have to knock up one sooner or later, chuck it up as well. Anything you want to hear, guys, let me know. Otherwise, keep it real and stay safe, have fun. See you later.